big, broad question, and I want to go back to Harbaugh and the Chargers again, and we can show some video
Sure.
and talk about this. But defensively, it's the same darn team. You know, they added Alt and Lad McConkey, and they got a couple of fifth-round corners out of college.
Right.
How in the world has Jesse Minter taken the same personnel and they've gone from 32nd to first? What does the film say on the Chargers' revelation on defense?
He does a lot of different things. For instance, they're a big team playing what we call big nickel with 3 safeties. So they take Derwin James and they basically have made him a multi-dimensional movable chess piece. And he is a dynamic player who can pretty much do anything on the football field. And he's become foundationally a very important piece. Then one player who was there last year, Colin, and you know him from USC, Tui Pelotu.
Yeah.
He is a really, really good football player, not talked about enough. Another player that can line up inside, can line up outside. You can stand him up in the middle of your defense. He's a really, really good player who doesn't get talked about enough because Bosa, Mack, James, but, you know, they just have some players who are multi-dimensional, multi-positional, and can really affect games.
Yeah. Greg?
Yeah. I think the Chargers obviously have the edge in this game. You know, I'm surprised it's even necessarily a question. I mean, they're on the road and they're still favored to win, which is, you know, in the playoffs is. Now, that's not like the most common occurrence here. I think it's probably the only road team that is favored, I believe. I think the Chargers at this point, I think they're actually truly playing with house money. It's funny because I just made a whole argument as to why I don't think the Packers are playing with house money. Or even the Broncos. Actually, I think I made the argument about the Broncos as well, in terms of, like, you know, the whole idea of, like, we're not supposed to be here, and it's like, no, like, we are supposed to be here. That's why we are here. I don't think the team like the Broncos are punching above their weight. They thought that the Broncos weren't going to be as good because they didn't know how good Bo Nix would be, Sean Payton with them, et cetera, et cetera. But with the Chargers, I think it's actually different because the Chargers, I mean, Harbaugh took over a mess, an absolute mess. And you know it. You know it. San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers fans, you know it. And so the fact that he's been able to get as much juice and, like, he has to rebuild this team. He is still a free agency and a draft or two away from really building what he wants. I mean, like, what Harbaugh does is he wants to build a juggernaut. And they're just not there yet. So they're punching above their weight. They're really getting as much as they possibly can out of this very, very specific roster that will clearly change over the next couple of years and significantly improve. And to me, that's what's so exciting about this team, because this team has had the levels of success that they've had, yet they are far from where they want to be and what you expect them to be. And so I think that puts the Chargers in an awesome position. And when you say, you know, where's the edge? The edge is from multiple different places, quite frankly. It's not for just one narrow thing. One, defensively, I do feel that way, of course. And going up against a Texans offense that has been disconnected the entire season. CJ Stroud has been just, you know, under pressure nonstop. That O-line is a disaster. Bobby Slowick has not done a good job from my viewpoint in terms of dealing with the injuries to all the weapons that the Texans have had and help CJ Stroud mitigate the issues with that bad O-line, along with, again, the actual weapons being injured for the Houston Texans themselves. You know, Diggs down, Tank Dell down, Nico was gone for a chunk. And so, like, when you have a high-level defense like the Chargers, you're supposed to feast on this. You're supposed to make this day for this quarterback just awful from the jump. From the moment he steps on the field, this is supposed to just be like, oh my God, is this game over yet? That is what you would expect from this Chargers defense. Again, whether they do it or not, that's up to them. And then the edge is going to be Harbaugh and Herbert, because you have this elite quarterback head coach duo. Where now, if the Chargers are up 21 to 3, 21 to 7, and they're clearly in the driver's seat, what the truly elite and special duos do, coach quarterback do, it's not so much where they just like, they go for the shot, they go for the kill shot, and now it's over. Now they can really lean on them. No, they just don't make that mistake. They don't have that turnover. They don't dial up that play that, like, you have all the momentum, and instead you now have Herbert throw an interception because you were trying to push the ball down the field, and now you just give an easy touchdown, and now the score is 21-14, and it's like, you didn't need to do that. You had all the momentum throughout this entire game. You were picking your spots and were able to move the chains, and it was 5 yards here, 8 yards here, 10 yards there, 3 yards there, but you kept moving it. It was boring. It was basic. There was hardly any highlights to show, but it was working. You were scoring, and you were slowing down the offense. But we see so many teams. It haunts me when you see a team having that momentum going, and then they do something insane, and you're like, why did you do that? What are you doing right now? The truly elite teams, the elite coaches and the quarterbacks, they don't do that. They don't do that. How many times has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid had all this momentum only for them to throw it away and spit the ball back out to the other team? It doesn't happen. It does not happen. It does not happen with the special coaches and quarterbacks. And so to me, that's the edge too that Justin Herbert and Harbaugh have right now. That if they get that lead, if they're up 28-7 and they're playing boring football and they're moving the chains and putting up points, nothing's going to change. They're not going to be like, all right, let's really sink it to them and go up 35. Like, nope, they're just going to stick to the plan no matter how boring it is. Handoff, 5-yard threat. Like, again, whatever it may be. They're going to understand, now the defense is in control of this game. They can't move the chains. We're not going to give them short field. We're not going to make some boneheaded mistake. I'm not going to throw a 50-50 ball for Justin Herbert right now into double coverage. Like, I'm not going to do that. No need. None. Zero need for it. The game does not call for it. It's understanding the decisions to make within the game. And that is a huge edge that I think also often gets overlooked for, honestly, any of these great teams, great quarterbacks, great coaches, whatever it may be. And games are lost that way. Make no mistake about it. The best example I have that will always be burned into my brain will be Nick Foles, ironically, when he took over for Carson Wentz the second time after they won the Super Bowl against the New Orleans Saints. They were picking apart the Saints. They had all the momentum. Nick Foles was on one, hitting all the spots. And then for whatever reason, they dialed up this big deep ball, let it rip, intercepted, changed everything. And they ended up losing that game. They had all the momentum. Nick was able to do 10 yards, 15 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards. It was just, the Saints defense could not stop them. They could not stop them. Nope, I got to go let a 60-yard, slinging it down the field. Gave them a turnover, boom, changed everything. And it happens. It happens all the time. And it always is just like, why? What are you doing? Just ride the momentum that you have. Ride the game plan that is clearly working. And I think Harbaugh does that beautifully. And when you have Herbert now, who is obviously incredibly highly intelligent and is a high-level quarterback, he's not going to go beyond that and try to force himself into the game to be like, all right, we got this. I got this. I can do whatever I want. You're not going to have that. And that's a big edge as well. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chargers having an edge over the Houston Texans? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.